Lesson 7. Man must eat in order to live. One of the most important concerns of man during his life on earth has been to make certain that he has enough food to eat when he needs it. Prehistoric man had little choice in what he ate. He ate what he could find. He lived on roots and berries, eggs, fruit, and the meat of small animals. Early man had no way to control his food supply. When he ate all the food in one place, he had to move to another region to find food enough to eat. If there was no rain, or if the weather was too hot or cold, plants would not grow, and he would have little or no food. Man's life changed when he learned to grow plants and to tame animals. He also learned to use fire to prepare his food. He learned to make tools and weapons, and to make containers to hold and store his food. Man could now live in one place and produce his own food. Civilization, as we know it, had begun. Great civilizations slowly developed in regions where food was plentiful, along the Nile River in Egypt and by the Yellow River in China. The kinds of plants which are raised by man are different in each geographical or climatic region. In the colder regions, very few plants can be grown. In the warmer parts of the world, great varieties of plants are found. In Asia, rice has become the most important crop. In North America, the most important grains are wheat and corn. In Europe and North Africa, wheat, oats, and barley are grown. In the tropical regions of the world, many kinds of fruits grow naturally or are raised by man. With the development of methods of food preservation, it became possible to send most food products from one part of the world to another. Today, foods are canned, frozen, pickled, and dehydrated, and sent all over the world. Man is no longer dependent on the food he grows in his own area. As man has learned more about plants and animals, the production of food has become a more technical and specialized process. In the future, it seems possible that vast quantities of food may be obtained from the ocean. Food may be produced in new ways. However, man's food problem is not solved. The world's population is increasing at a tremendous rate. Man will need to use all his specialized knowledge about food production in order to feed the ever-increasing number of people who will inhabit the earth. More than 1 billion people on earth at the present time face hunger and the threat of famine. For the most part, these are people who have an income of less than $100 a year and who spend 80% of this income on food. Widespread drought, great increases in the cost of food, and food shortages have all combined to cause serious threats of famine on a large scale. In addition to immediate problems, many authorities point out that the world population is increasing by 70 million people a year. What of the future, they ask? If the world population increases at the rate of 2% a year, and if there is no increase in per capita consumption, food production would have to double in little more than a generation to keep the present balance. Numerous times over the last 40 years, experts have predicted global famine because increases in food production couldn't possibly keep up with population growth. Thankfully, they were wrong. The best indications today are that food production will continue to outpace population growth for the foreseeable future, though this doesn't preclude localized famines, since famine in the 20th century is largely unrelated to the ability to produce enough food to feed the world. The increase in food production over the last 40 years was a result of the Green Revolution agricultural processes focusing on hybrid plants designed to maximize yield while being resistant to pests, and intensive irrigation and fertilizing efforts. This Green Revolution was so successful that the developed world now sees a glut of food. In fact, many governments in the developed world now pay farmers to limit food production in order to increase prices. The amazing thing about the world increase in food production, however, is that many parts of the world have yet to experience its effects. Development of Green Revolution-style techniques for Africa, for example, has lagged for a variety of reasons. The introduction of hybrid crops designed for the relatively poor soil of Central Africa, combined with farming techniques to maximize productivity of the land, has yet to be extensively adopted on that continent. Such techniques could increase food production in Africa by a factor of 7 and allow that continent to finally be self-sufficient in its food production. Unfortunately, there may not be a lot we can do about the primary cause of famine and hunger, government interference with food production.